Kenya cult massacre, the unfolding tragedy. The recent discovery of more than 430 bodies linked to Good News International Church in Kenya has shocked the world. This mass death toll emerged from a religious cult led by Paul Mackenzie, whose followers were urged to starve themselves to meet Jesus. More than 600 people remain missing, and autopsies show the victims died from starvation, strangulation, suffocation, and blunt force trauma. The ongoing investigation continues to uncover new horrors, revealing the destructive influence of charismatic evangelical leaders and their unchecked power. The rise of Paul Mackenzie. Mackenzie's journey from a street vendor to a self-proclaimed religious leader is central to understanding the depths of his control. Having apprenticed under a Malindi preacher, he founded his own church in 2003. Known for his charismatic sermons, he claimed to perform miracles and exorcisms, earning him a loyal following across Kenya. His teachings, which initially included anti-vaccination and anti-education rhetoric, grew darker over time, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Mackenzie preached that the end times were near, compelling his followers to retreat with him to the secluded Shakahola forest. There, on 800 acres of forest land inhabited by wild animals, Mackenzie created an isolated community. Followers were forbidden from leaving, and families were ordered not to feed their children, leading to widespread starvation. Those who resisted or tried to escape were met with violence. Mackenzie's followers were not limited to the poor or uneducated. His reach extended to influential professionals like teachers and police officers, which allowed his teachings to permeate various sectors of society. A failure of authorities. The Kenyan authorities had received multiple warnings about Mackenzie's illegal activities, but failed to intervene until it was too late. 6 detectives were suspended for negligence after ignoring complaints from survivors and locals. Community leaders, including Thomas Kakala of Jesus Cares Ministry International, voiced concerns about Mackenzie's growing influence years earlier. Kakala had attempted to expose Mackenzie's illegal practices, but his efforts were thwarted when Mackenzie used his television platform to discredit him. Feeling threatened and outnumbered, Kakala's warnings were ignored, allowing the cult to continue unchecked. Horrific findings and ongoing investigations. The full scope of the tragedy is still unfolding, with more mass graves likely yet to be discovered. The Kenya Red Cross has reported over 600 people missing. Autopsies revealed chilling causes of death, including starvation, strangulation, and injuries from blunt objects. Survivors who managed to escape have shared harrowing accounts of life within the cult, describing strict rules, isolation from the outside world, and brutal punishment for disobedience. Even after the police raid, bodies continue to be unearthed, highlighting the depth of the atrocities committed. Mackenzie's trial has attracted national and international attention. He faces charges of murder, manslaughter, and the deaths of 191 children. Despite the overwhelming evidence, Mackenzie pleaded not guilty, his confidence in court reflecting the kind of absolute authority he wielded over his followers. If convicted, Mackenzie will face life imprisonment. The spread of evangelical movements in Kenya. Kenya, like much of East Africa, has seen an explosion of evangelical Christianity since the 1980s. Many churches are modeled after American televangelist ministries, with pastors using modern media such as television and radio to reach wider audiences. However, these churches often operate independently, with little oversight or regulation. Pastors like Mackenzie derived their authority not from formal theological training, but from their perceived ability to perform miracles or offer prophecies. This unchecked power has allowed leaders to exploit their followers, often with tragic consequences. The case of Paul Mackenzie raises larger questions about the regulation of religious organizations in Kenya. With evangelical churches proliferating rapidly and often operating without accountability, the potential for abuse is high. While the vast majority of these churches offer genuine support and community for their congregations, Cases like this one highlight the urgent need for oversight and better regulation to prevent future tragedies. The path forward, a national conversation. The massacre in Shakahola has ignited a national conversation about the role of charismatic religious leaders and their influence on vulnerable communities. Many Kenyans are questioning how such a tragedy could have unfolded without intervention, and what steps can be taken to prevent similar incidents in the future. Local leaders and survivors are calling for greater government oversight of religious organizations, particularly those that operate outside of traditional structures. The Kenyan government faces immense pressure to not only bring those responsible for the deaths to justice but to ensure that such a tragedy is never repeated. As authorities continue their investigation, the world watches in horror and disbelief. The Shakahola massacre serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked religious extremism and the devastating consequences it can have on innocent lives. Like, comment and subscribe for more updates.